Alright, but anyway, I don't want to go all negative yet as far as that particular subject goes. I just kind of find that curious as to how that works whenever a person's not making money off of it. Anyway, moving on in the last part of the segment on the universe, and it's going to roll me into what I was actually wanting to do this video on. And who needs music? I know a couple of did. It's kind of funny. Wait a minute. Let me back up. So if it's illegal, I just now thought of something. How come it is that I can purchase the rights to use a song to make a personal video on Animoto, and that's a copy of a song, and post it on my site, and even on Animoto they give you the option, that's what I use to get them over to my channel. They have an option to post your personal music video on your channel on YouTube. So explain that one to me. I bought a copy of the song and used it in a music video that I created. I'm still not getting paid for it. So explain that one to me. I'm sure somebody will. But anyway, moving along with the universal thing, and I'm not wanting to linger on that. It's just a thought and idea that I wanted to throw out there. And I'm not making any of this stuff up, by the way. I actually had to do a refresher on some of the little paper example. I couldn't find the name of it, and basically I looked under phase wave and remembered an old blog that I participated in a long time ago, and surprisingly it was still there. But the next part of it and the last part of that is on vacuum. Now, I don't know exactly how to put some of this, but in a vacuum here on Earth, I know it's different than out there in space. Okay, the way we pull the vacuum here is different because of our atmosphere, magnetic fields, and all that. I understand that. However, a vacuum's a vacuum. Okay, vacuum makes weightlessness. Vacuum is nothingness. Okay, and we have stuff within nothingness. All right, now a vacuum has to have some type of boundaries on it, or walls, whatever you want to say. Let's take a spherical orb, or let's take this again, for example, and say that this represents just a container, and I can plug in a device and pull the vacuum on it. Or let's say in the same example that this is the universe, hypothetically, and inside of here is the vacuum. Okay, a vacuum is pulled on a constant force. Okay, you can't get non-vacuum or some vacuum or formula vacuum to where there's some vacuum. Vacuum's vacuum. Okay, you either have it or you don't. All right, and that's my point to that. And there are scientists and thoughts, hypotheses, and theories on the universe expanding. And myself have often wondered, well, if the universe is expanding, how is that possible if we're in the space is a vacuum? And then you have other scientists say, well, the universe is actually collapsing in on itself, and that's maybe how originally the universe was created in the first place, by collapsing in on itself from the atoms, compressing so much to where it went into infinity and boom, blew back out. So is this an ongoing process and hasn't been going on for even longer than we even know? Maybe. But those are just two thoughts on it. Myself, I don't know which one that I would actually go with. I would actually say myself, just an idea, and it's just a thought like theirs. You'll have opposite thoughts, and it's going to roll me into the next thing, is I believe that the universe actually is the same size as it was before. The actual universe. Not the planets inside, not the vacuum inside, but the universe itself. The vacuum would actually give me the idea of that because, just like I said, you have to have walls to a container or some type of, mass to pull vacuum. Alright? And that's where I kind of got the name of fly on the wall. I would love to be a fly on the wall of the end of the universe, or the boundaries of the universe, to actually see what's on the other side, if you can see through it. Because if there's actually nothing there, or if there is something there, what is it? And where did it come from? Would it be possible, if it were possible, to get to the end of the universe, to actually get on the other side of the universe? Could you break through, and what would actually happen? Universal Armageddon? If you actually broke through the boundaries of the end of the universe? But if the universe has no boundaries, and the universe is endless, that would actually be what? I don't even have the word for that. Endless, I guess. But that would mean that no matter how long the planets and stars and all that are in existence, and eventually once everything actually burns out on itself or runs out of energy, then time in itself would still exist because the universe is endless. Okay? But that's just a couple of crazy thoughts about, does it have boundaries? And would you like to be a fly on that wall to see possibly what's at the end of the universe? And there's been many peoples, even in anime. I remember seeing an anime where there was this guardian at the end of the universe and told the hero that you have reached the end of the universe. And they were like, what? The end of the universe? Like, that's however many million light years away or whatever. And you have different scientists that say, the end of the universe would just be a void and there would be nothingness out there. But if that be the case, then something has to be actually pulling on us, not just magnetic fields, not just orbits, not just energy, not just photons, protons, and ectons, whatever you want to call it, but there has to be something to pull the vacuum in space. That's just my thought on it. Now, moving on. And the next part of it about the fly on the wall is that all the thoughts that I just had are ones that I have researched, heard on TV, thoughts of my own. And we as a people will spend so much time trying to disprove an idea that a person has, and we spend more energy on trying to disprove something than we do actually looking for the answer. All right? And even when people don't have an idea of what they're talking about whatsoever, because all of what I'm saying, do I know what I'm talking about? Yeah, probably 95% of it. 5% of it is just thinking and coming up with the ideas on the spot where I'm going, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Just kind of like with the Men in Black idea. I wasn't thinking about that, but whenever you actually think about the boundaries, that was a good thing that just popped in my mind. So I would say there are things that I bring up as ideas, but that's how we learn as a people, as humans, as creatures, is we learn by thinking. We learn by doing. And so many people will try to disprove something that a person actually wants to learn, and ideas and thought processes that other individuals have, rather than to help them find the ideas. We'd rather criticize and bash and beat rather than take the time to actually think, hey, that person might have a point. And I'm not speaking to myself. I'm talking about people in general. All right? I'm just talking about us as a society. And one of the subjects in which a lot of people have gotten famous off of or one of the things that people try to disprove the most, or the one thing that people try to disprove the most, is the Bible. Okay? And I'm not going to get on a big long tangent about it, but you have people such as George Carlin, you have Penn and Teller, Joe Rogan. I could go down the list to infinity. Even people that I know here on YouTube, they will argue up and down about the Bible being a bunch of bunk, and how some people got famous off of saying it's bullshit. Well, those people that actually wrote the Bible, and it may be the greatest story ever told, I don't know 100%. I do believe certain things in it, and I'm not going to even get on a debate on what they are. But my point to this is that rather than looking for the answers and maybe saying, well, we could take these and say, however many thousands of years ago these people actually came up with this, it's amazing to me that you have different peoples that didn't even know each other that come up with different stories, different books, and how they all correlate together and make this one great story. And if nothing else, it's the greatest history lesson that mankind should ever take upon itself to embrace as a moral standard. Because, people want to point out the fact that God is a vengeful God, God is a selfish God, God is this, God is that, but they are not taking God and saying, okay, this is what this voice, and it's not the voice in the head. I don't even know where people come up with the little voice in your head tells you. The little voice in your head tells you when you need to go take a leak. Does that make you crazy? I mean, a lot of times we'll even verbalize it when we're by ourselves. Oh man, I gotta go take a leak. And you'll go and you'll do it. But yet, you won't take something as a moral standard and say, well, this is what the guy's meaning by this. I shouldn't kill. I shouldn't commit adultery. I shouldn't steal. And these are right things. These are moral things. Would I actually do these things myself? No. All right. Did I already know this before it was taught to me? No. And that's what I believe people miss the point of the Bible is it's a test of character, and it's a moral lesson to mankind in itself. You can look in the Quran. You can look in the Bible. And I don't mean to offend anybody or any religions out there. You can look at the Hebrew Bible. All of them direct in, if you take the violence factor out of it, because that's the other thing that people get onto is this violent tendency and religion and these books as being, mine is the be-all, end-all, and yours is just a bunch of bunk.